Today's episode, I'm going to talk about how literally wanting to give up, like wanting to end my life, has taught me how much I want to be alive. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Literally, almost losing my life and attempting to lose my life has shown me how much I want to be alive. Let's get messy. Welcome, my beautiful friends. I'm Natalie. I'm here to share with you how I've turned my messes into messages and come out the other side. I'm not a doctor, so if you feel you need one, please get one. But if you're looking for a friend that's been there, like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Now, it's weird to say that attempting suicide many times, multiple overdoses, has shown me how much I want to be alive. But I'll have to start from the beginning so you understand. When I was 16 years old, I went through so many traumas I wasn't even prepared to go through. I didn't know how to handle it. I remember going upstairs. All my family was out of the house for some reason. I think they all went to dinner and I just didn't want to join. I was sulking in my depression. So I was walking around upstairs and I went into the attic and I got out my mother's white wedding dress and I put it on. And I remember it was kind of like yellowish, I guess, because it had faded in color. And I don't know if I put it on because like it signified purity, the color white. But I took a wire, I put it on. I took a wire and I attached it to this pull-up bar that was in my younger sister's bedroom. And I went to put my head in and I was just ready to end everything. Like I was over it. I was over my friends turning against me and bullying me. Then it turned into pretty much the whole school bullying me. And after I lost my brother, I just felt so empty. I just wanted to die. I didn't like what I was learning life was about. And in that moment, when you're a teenager, the moment feels like it's going to last forever. I just felt like I was never going to get out of the moment. So I put my head in, I take a deep breath and I jump off. And literally, as it's grabbing my neck, I remember thinking like, I don't want this. I don't want to go yet. But I was already in the process of choking myself to death. But the wire snapped. The wire snapped and I fell to the ground. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anyone about this right away. Now, apart from the suicide attempts, I was also a self-harmer. When my friends were picking on me in school, it was almost comforting to go in the bathroom and feel the burn each time I'd hurt myself. It almost became like my friend, my companion. I'd have razors hidden in my purses in my back pocket, and it was a safety. And now looking back at my life as a drug addict in recovery, the razor blade was just another drug, sneaking it around, hiding the behaviors, lying about the behaviors, feeling ashamed of them. I remember there was one time me and my mother were fighting about something, and I ran into the forest with my razor, and I just started going. Covered this whole arm. So I'm like, other one, just start going until there was no skin left. And I was just all stripes up my arms. You could still see some of the scars. I had stripes up my arms and I was just bleeding out. And I remember in that moment too, I was like, I don't want to die yet. And my little brother came out and held paper towels over me. He said to my mom, she always tells me the story. She goes, I got this. In my brother's voice, I got this, mommy. I got Nowie. That's how he used to say my name, Nowie. He was always there for me. He was so much more mature than his age. But he held me in the forest, just rocking me back and forth, holding these paper towels on my arm. I was on a road of suicide. Between the self-harm, the anorexia I was about to endure after my brother's car accident. I picked up anorexia because I wanted to control something. The cutting was controlling something, and not eating was controlling something. In a moment when all I could do was lay in bed and heal from the stitches, from the 2 nose reconstructive surgeries, like I was just a vegetable laying in my father's condo bed, I remember. Second surgery, I was at my mother's because my parents are divorced now. But the first time I was at my father's, second time I was at my mother's. It's all just such a blur. So I wanted something to control because my life was out of control, utter chaos, trauma after trauma, loss after loss. I couldn't take it anymore. Now, after my brother died, this internet boyfriend I had been talking to for years, he was my first boyfriend. We ended up getting into a relationship. That went on a lot longer than I thought it would. And he was my drug dealer. He wasn't, but he was. I lived with him. I didn't work back then. At first, I didn't work. Eventually, I did. But I would just sit around and do drugs and wait for him to come home from work and party with him. Like this was my life. Just the repetition of using, passing out, withdrawing, using again, passing out, withdrawing, using. It was this endless cycle. But I think I needed that as a kid. Like I needed to numb out from everything. And the cutting could have killed me. The anorexia was on its way to kill me. Luckily, I got a therapist my parents found, and she met me with a dietitian, and I was on the road to recovery from my eating disorder. But the drugs, nobody knew at first. Nobody knew. I didn't have scars on my arm. I wasn't 80 pounds. You couldn't, for the most part, you couldn't tell. I could sneak it in my pocket. I could run the water in the bathroom and use, and nobody knew at first. But the drugs, the self-harm, the eating disorder, they're all just negative, addictive behaviors to keep us from looking at ourselves. That's what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to look at myself. I hate myself. My best friends turned against me. All the guys turned against me. My brother died, and I was the driver behind the wheel. My parents got divorced. I thought everything was my fault. Everything. So why am I going to want to be in reality where I had to get real with myself? Because when you're not high or drunk or wasted, you're in the moment. You're with yourself. You can't run from that, from your thoughts, from your internal dialogue, from your spirit. Like you can't run away from yourself. And that was the cold, hard truth. Every time I looked in the mirror, I hated what I saw. And the drugs made it easier to live. As I continued to get older, 16, 17, 18, 20, 22, I started learning more and more about what the world was about. And you guys, my friends, I hated it. I didn't like it. It felt like this rat race to be rich and famous and drive expensive cars. And I didn't like it. And I said to myself, if this is what the world's about, like, I don't want to be alive. I don't want to just get married and have kids. Like, there's always been this burning feeling in me that there's got to be something more to life. There's got to be a purpose, a mission, something we're all living for, not just go to work, pay taxes, maybe have some kids and a husband, and then just rest in peace, get a 401k. Like, I couldn't. If that's what life is about, I couldn't. I had such an ego when I was using such an ego. I didn't think I needed rehab. So the first time I went to rehab, it was like just for fun. I hooked up, I got into a relationship, and we got kicked out. I started drinking immediately with the guy, and then when I came home, it was just a matter of time before I had a needle in my arm again. And the second time I went to rehab, again, was just having fun. I didn't think I really was that bad. I just kind of needed to clean up my act and then go out again. But Oh my God, I had such scares that second time in rehab. There was a guy I met, and we waited until the day we got out of rehab to hook up. And we relapsed together a couple weeks or a month after we got out of treatment. And we were in my apartment, and I just split up a line for us, and he did it, and he literally died in my apartment. I called 911. A bunch of cops came. They Narcaned him a handful of times and nothing. Like they were about ready to pronounce him dead, but they said they were going to take him to the hospital and just run a few more tests and attempts. So the sheriff stayed with me in my apartment, and he was telling me some story about a friend of his that was an alcoholic, but all I could think about was, you're going to prison for life, Nat. You're not getting out of this one. There were drugs hidden around my whole apartment, and I was the one that called the dealer and got us the drugs that killed him. But the sheriff got a phone call, and they revived him. They revived him. I think it was like 11 Narcan attempts, and they tried one more time, and he's alive still. Thank goodness, because he has children. But I would have had to swallow that my addiction led me to be so selfish that this man's kids don't have him anymore. But luckily, I don't have to live with that. He's alive, he's well. I had so many close calls that I just thought I could get away with stuff. If I'm being honest, my friends, I literally thought I could get away with whatever I wanted. I keep getting so emotional. I'm sorry. It's just like thinking back to this stuff. It's hard. In my life today, I do talk about my recovery like 24/7, but I guess it's just different when I really think about certain situations and relive them again. Like this situation with this guy I met in rehab that almost died. Oh my God. Fuck. Oh. Okay. So this third time I went to rehab, I was done. All the not yets were crossed off my list. I wasn't homeless yet. I wasn't broke yet. I crossed all those things off my list. That finally was the addict I never thought I'd be. Ever. And it disgusted me. And it was time to change. So when I went to this last rehab, I gave it my all, and I had nobody, guys. Everybody there was picking on me. I had nothing but the Bible. I opened it up, I started reading it, and I had a coming to God moment. I realized that literally everything I was doing in my active addiction, the Bible says is the devil. The lying, the sneaking, the stealing, the cheating, the abuse on myself and others. Like, this is all evil. And I had this come to God moment where I'm like, maybe the drugs are making me live for the devil. And if I get off the drugs, I can start living for God. And all the things I was reading in the Bible was like so attractive and so intriguing. Like, is this real? But it is obviously real. We could conjure up ideas all day on why we shouldn't read the Bible and why we don't need it. But there's some good stuff in there, guys. I got a sponsor when I was in the last rehab I was in, and she worked steps 1 through 4 with me. And 1 through 3 in particular are all about surrendering, turning your life over to a power greater than you, and admitting your powerlessness over your addiction. And that was another come to God moment. Like, I'm an addict. My life is out of control. I can finally say it. Admit it. And say, I don't know everything. So when this sponsor and I worked steps 1 through 3, it was unbelievable how much I learned. What a stubborn brat I was. I'm serious. I was such a stubborn brat. I knew everything. I didn't need this. I didn't need help. I didn't need these NA meetings. I didn't need rehab. I was just here to clean up my act and then go hit the streets again. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But once I sobered up and detoxed and I finally got to the rehab center, I realized just how wrong that voice in my head was. We all have a voice in our head. It's like an awareness. It's like a narrator kind of dialoguing your everyday life existence and the choices you make, literally. You think in your head. And I know, like, if you ever saw those old cartoons with the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other, I think that's real. Like, there's a battle going on. Good and evil in your head, constantly going back and forth. And the more you give light to the angel, the less you'll feed the devil. It's all part of the RAS, reticular activating system. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but let me simplify it. You know when you get a new car and you're driving around and all of a sudden you see that car everywhere? It's like, what? Did everybody start getting Kia Souls? No, because I have that car. I see it everywhere. And I bring that to you to make you understand, like, what you focus on is what you see. You know, it's almost like your brain is processing what you see in this existence, in this world, based on what you focus on. It's like, okay, you want to see Kias? Here's a bunch of Kias. It's not like there were all of a sudden more Kias. I just didn't see them before. They were always there. Everything is always there. It would be sensory overload to see every little detail that was going on in the world. Like, there's just no way we can see everything. So our brain protects us and says, okay, this is at the top of your mind. You're thinking about this car. You're thinking about this day. You're thinking about this person. Well, now that's all you're going to see. And it's not because there's more there. It's just that's what you're seeing. Once I turned my life over to God, I started also making gratitude lists daily. This switched my focus. This literally switched my focus. And instead of seeing things to be upset about or angry about or resentful about or giving myself excuses to use over whatever the above was, now I'm looking at, what am I grateful for? How can I bring joy to others? What can I give back to other people? Instead of me, what can I get out of this? Like, as soon as I switched my perspective and my mindset, the sunshine started shining brighter. It really did. Like, people, even in customer service, when I run into issues on the phone, in person, the people I encounter today are so kind and nice. And when I was out there active in my using, everybody was awful. It wasn't just because I was around addicts. Because I'd go into stores and people were awful back to me or just rude. And I truly believe it's the energy, the RAS, you know, and that just doesn't go for what you see. That also goes for what you are. The most powerful form of energy is us, is our thought process. And the other interesting thing about switching your perspective, what it did for me was now I'm grateful for my traumas. I'm grateful for my drug addiction. I'm grateful for the abuse I went through. I really am. And that might sound crazy, but I know without the bad, there wouldn't be the good. I wouldn't have the gratitude I have today for my life if I didn't go through all those hardships. I wouldn't be seeing and focusing on things in the same light with the same gratitude if I didn't feel the pain and suffering of what I went through. My friends, I truly believe suffering is a gift. It's a gift. In yoga, because I'm also went to yoga instructor training. In yoga, we say the amount to which you experience suffering is the amount to which you experience peace. And I like to think that that's true. I really do, because I actually can attest that it is. I've suffered. I've been through pain, guys. And I'm at peace. Like, I can't even explain. And I know it's just going to keep growing more and more, because that's what happens when we suffer through things. There's a peace on the end of it. But for me, I got so frustrated in the pain, so frustrated from wanting my life to change now. I didn't have the patience to stick on for the process. And that's why the first couple times in rehab, I was like, F this, I'm out. It's not happening quick enough for me. These people know I got places to be. I'm somebody. I was a homeless drug addict. I had nowhere to be. But again, the mind was telling me all these lies. When you lie, your mind lies to you. And everything in life is just an illusion. It really is. The biggest gift I've gotten from my traumas and suffering is gratitude. I didn't have this type of gratitude before. And strength, guys, strength. Oh my God, I was watching these child home videos with my mother the other night. I was so insecure. I hated being on camera. I would giggle, I'd run away. I'd just stop, keep filming me. I was so insecure and so self-conscious. Yet here I am. The pain and suffering has brought me confidence because it taught me I can get through anything. With my God, I can get through anything. I don't need a pill. I don't need a shot. I don't need this outfit. I don't need this workout routine. All I need is me and God to get me through. And a lot of times today when I go through suffering, I say, my God suffered for me, so I'm going to suffer for him. And my friends, no matter what suffering we go through, there was nothing like what he went through. And I don't care what your spiritual beliefs are. We can all agree that being nailed to a cross, slashed all over your body, bleeding out is some intense suffering. Whether you believe it's true or not, we can all agree that that is suffering. That is suffering to a level that I'll probably, hopefully, never experience in my life, and hopefully you won't either. But if this God, this Jesus could do this for us, like, I could go through a drug addiction, a suicidal drug addiction, pain of the world and its people turning against me, bullying me. I mean, this bullying thing has been in my life forever. I'd go into workplaces, it's happened there. Even growing communities on social media, especially growing communities on social media, I encounter so much hate and so much online bullying, but it's made me who I am. I don't need y'all to like me. If you like me, great. But like, I don't say and do and act certain ways so people will like me. I used to be a people pleaser. I'll be the first to admit it. I'd lie to you, tell you what you want to hear, make up stories, exaggerate things. And like, I don't even know why I did it. It wasn't winning me more friends. It wasn't making me more successful. It wasn't doing anything. It was almost just like this pre-programmed way of being for survival, lying. And that's all part of manipulation. We can say we're people pleasers, but really we're just manipulating people and lying to them so they do what we want. We're telling them what they want to hear for a reason. In closing, suffering's a gift, guys. It really is. It's all just switching the perspective. Switch the perspective on the pain. Think about when somebody works out. They pump really hard, then their muscles are sore, but they're growing them. They're getting stronger because of that. I'm going to close with a story. About a year ago, someone I was dating tried to kill me. He got drunk and held me up against our hotel room window by my neck, and he was suffocating me. And I remember my feet were dangling. I couldn't get him on the ground. Couldn't talk because he was covering my mouth. And just finding it harder to breathe, starting to get dizzy, and thinking I'm going to die. And the only thing I could think about was my mother, my family. I didn't want my mom to bury another kid or my dad. And like, that's all I could think about was family. And magically, he just let go of me. I fell on the floor, and he went into the bathroom to look for my phone. And I took this as a cue, like, run, Natalie, run. And I did. I ran to the hotel room door, And as soon as I got halfway out the door, I felt him grab my ankle and pull me back in the hotel room. The craziest thing is something pulled him off me. I'll never know what exactly happened, but he just fell off. It's like he got pulled back in the room and my ankle was free, so I just kept running. He's trying to kill me. I ran down the hotel room hallway, got in the elevator, and I went black. Like, I don't remember anything. The elevator, we were staying in Las Vegas, so it was like a casino, and I like had no clothes on. I was bleeding, which I didn't know until I got to the hospital, but the people that found me were probably like, what the? I can't believe I can laugh at this now. So when I finally came to after the elevator, I was in the hospital. My ear was being sewn back in half because he bit it. He literally bit it in half. Weird. I don't even remember that. And I had to be in a neck brace for about 4 months because I had a fracture. And like, I've never been big in domestic violence. Like, I've never had men like beat me or hurt me like that before, but it's not you until it's you. And addiction led me there, right? Because love addiction is part of drug addiction, making someone your higher power. I realized how much I want to be alive. And that I've got a message to put out there. I want to reach people and make us all really understand, like, there's more to this thing called life. There's more to this thing called love. It's not a rat race. It's not a competition. It's a fellowship. We're here to help one another with love. But just the amount to which there's love, there's evil. There wouldn't be one without the other. There wouldn't be peace without suffering. So my friends, I encourage you to turn that pain and suffering into gratitude and joy. Switch your perspective and watch how quickly pain and suffering can start working for you instead of against you.